Shalom. And I want to start off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wachach Chodesh. The belongs to my teachers, their apostles, and elders, a great millstone. And salutations to you, Akim, that's out there listening, pushing forward this word with truth and sincerity. And you few Akwath as well, that's listening with sincerity. I'm the brother Machaya from the Camp Jamis Montreal, coming back with another lesson. And we are in the time of the Passover at sundown. Brothers are going to keep the feast of the Pesach. And, with that being said, there's a mindset also you have to approach this feast with, because, we have different feasts within our culture. This feast where it's for a joyous occasion, and this particular feast is that it's for, it's really a solemn assembly. Okay, it's really a mindset of being in the house of mourning. All right, as it is for the Pesach. Okay, scriptures speak about how that there's a time and a season for everything under the sun, and that's the balance of the Lord. So coming into the Passover, you have to basically not only take out the leaven out of your house, but also out of your body. Okay, getting your spirit right, self-examining yourself, and coming into this feast in the right mindset, man, being worthy to partake of the feast. Okay, matter of fact, I want to start with let's get it within the feast where it says, hold on. Okay, let's get this right here, because, part of this feast, which is for 7 days, is that we have to take the leaven out of our houses. Okay, let's read it. This is Exodus 12. The point is really at verse 19, but we'll start at verse 18. It says, "In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even," which the first month would be the time of spring, which, we're there now. Okay, this is the true, as they say, New Year. When they have the New Year's celebration in January. Really, this is the new year, because the new year starts in spring. Okay, when things come back to life after winter. Okay, so at sundown, that's really the first day of the first month. Okay, it says, "On the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until 1 and 20th day of the month at even." Salakia. So the Pesach is taking place on the 14th day of the first month. Okay, which that started, on the new moon, which we had 2 weeks ago. Okay, that was the beginning of spring, you may say, or yeah, you know what I'm saying. So to continue, it says verse 19. It says, "7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses." So you have to take out all the leaven out of your house. Okay, if you have baking soda or whatnot, bread, things that contain leaven, you have to take them out your house, or whether you put it outside in your car, or if you have a little cabin outside of your house, you put it in there. Just make sure there's no leaven in your house. Okay, and also, like I stated earlier, that applies for your spirit too, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like I stated, this is a time where you self-examine yourself, and you check what needs to be worked on, and you work on it, man. You get rid of it. You get rid of that leaven. Okay. What's that term in the world? Spring cleaning. So the Pesach is our spring cleaning, man. Okay, getting your spirit right. Okay, it says, "For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land." So if you eat leaven, okay, part of our law is that you're supposed to be cast from the congregation, man. Okay, and this is a very important feast, because as we're going to partake of this, as us, partaking in the eating, synonymous with the eating of the body of Yahweh Shai, man. Right? He told his disciples, right, take the bread, this is my body, drink my blood. Right? Because that's what this Passover, us eating the lamb, the unleavened bread, eating the bitter herbs, drinking the wine, that's what it represents. So it's not no light thing, man. That, once again, that's why you got to make sure, your spirit is right, man. If you have any art against your brother or things that needs to be dealt with, you deal with it. Okay? Lest you eat this Pesach unworthily. I want to get this in Matthew 5, because even Yahweh Shai stated when it comes to presenting your sacrifice at the altar, let's get it, okay? Matthew 5 and verse 23. It says, "Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled with thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift." So if there's any schism or, I don't know, any offenses, or you think a brother did you wrong, or, whatever, you rectify that, before you come and partake of this feast, man, because, it isn't, because it is applicable. This precept is applicable to the situation. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because you got to have brotherly love, man. You can't, scripture say, let not the sun go down upon your wrath, man. You can't be holding grudges, okay? Things of that nature. That's not right, man. The not Yahweh Shai said what? By this shall you know my disciples, for the love that we have for one another, man. So you have to rectify that, man. Here it is, you pull up to the Passover and you're looking at your brother funny and shit. That's not right, okay? You're eating to yourself the nation, man. Let's get that. Okay, unworthy. It's in the book of Corinthians. No, unworthily, hold on. There we go. So this is 1 Corinthians 11. We'll start at verse. Really, this whole chapter is a good chapter because, Apostle Paul was addressing the Church of Corinth and, things that they were doing wrong. And one of the things they were doing wrong is, not coming with the right mindset when it came to, eat the Lord's Passover, man, or the Lord's Supper. Okay, they were being neglects. Okay. You know what? We're going to read it. We're going to get the key points. All right. Because the Church of Corinth was going off, man. There's a reason why Apostle Paul wrote 2 letters unto them, man. Okay. So this is 1 Corinthians 11. We'll start at verse 20. It says, "When you come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating everyone taketh before other his own supper, and one is hungry and another is drunken." All right, so, they weren't coming, like I stated, in the right mindset, man. You know what I'm saying? They didn't take the Lord's Supper, which is the Pesach. They didn't come and partaking of it in a serious mindset. They thought it was just a hangout. Okay, you pull up, you drink, you eat, get drunken, you talk shit, then you dip. Nah, man. Okay, there's a reason why this is being addressed, because, these things are happening right now in this day and age, man. You've heard of certain Passovers of particular camps, them going to strip clubs and, having a big party. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this day and age, we're in captivity, we're in the last days, man. You can't be joking around with, the ordinances of the Lord. Okay? It says, verse 22, "What, have ye not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise ye the church of Yahweh? And shame them that have not. What shall I say unto you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. yeah, that's why also, it's important, before you pull up, make sure, you eat some, to sustain you before, the food gets ready. Okay? You be there, then your stomach is growling and shit. you know? Eat a snack before, eat something. You know what I'm saying? It goes on and says, that's what the Apostle Paul said, like what have you not houses to eat and to drink in? You eat, you drink, then you come and then you partake of the feast, man. Okay. It says, verse 23, for I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua the same night in which he was betrayed took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. So when we're eating the bread, what we're doing it in remembrance of Yahushua, man. Okay? When you're eating, eating the supper, you're supposed to meditate upon the sacrifice, what Yahushua did for you, man. Okay? Like I said, this is not no feast, a big party. We turning up. No, this is a solemn assembly. All right? It says, verse 25, it says, and after the same manner, also he took the cup, and when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as you drink in remembrance of me. So all the drinking, the eating, all of that is in remembrance of Yahushua, man. Okay, it's deadly serious. Okay, because the thing with our people, with Jake, they take everything as a joke. Everything is fun and joking. No, man. You know what I'm saying? At times it's time for for things to be serious. Okay. It goes on and says, verse 26. For as oft as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he comes. See, like I stated, and you're partaking in the Lord's sacrifice in remembrance of him when you eat the Passover, you eat the Lord's Supper. Okay. And we have when the feast is for partying and having a good time, there's the time for that. Hey, right after the Pesach, there's the feast of the first fruits. You know what I'm saying? So there's, like I stated, there's a time and season for all things, man. You got to make sure you keep these ordinances, because indeed right now we're rehearsing the righteous acts. You keep it in the proper mindset, man. Okay, knowing what time that this is for. Okay, because the Church of Corinth, the reason why Apostle Paul is addressing this is because that's what they were doing. Okay, he had to stir up their mind by the way of remembrance, man. Remember, this is not no party. Okay, it says, verse 27, wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. You see, you're going to be guilty if you eat it unworthily. That's why, once again, coming in with the proper mindset, man, getting the leaven out your house. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Your temple, which is your body, man, getting your spirit right. You spring clean, man. Get them cobwebs out. You know what I'm saying? And come worthily to partake of this feast. It says, verse 28, but let a man examine himself. See, examine yourself. Okay, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. You examine. That's the one of the main important points, man. Examining yourself, spring cleaning, getting your mind right, what you need to work on. Okay, what you need to shut off. I'm saying problems that you have, you rectify it. Against your brother, you deal with it. Okay? Lest you eat it unworthily, man. It says, for he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. It says, for this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. See? So, hey, by that time, many got sick. Okay, some got put to death because what? They weren't keeping the feast in the proper mindset, man. They weren't eating the Lord's Supper worthily. You see? Verse 31, it says, for if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. See, you got to judge yourself, man. All right? Lest the Lord comes and intervenes and he judges you. You don't want the Lord to judge you, man. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You know what you need to work on. You know, like it says in 1 Corinthians 15. No, 2 Corinthians 13. It says what? Know ye not your own selves? 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5, it says, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yahushua Mashiach is in you, except you be reprobates? Don't you know your own self? Of course you do. You know what you need to address. You know what flaws and things you need to work on. So work on it, man. Before it's too late. Especially now. Okay? But anyways, man, I'm going to close it off there, man. This was my spirit, you know, coming in the right mindset, you know, approaching this feast that will be at sundown. Okay, when we're going to eat the lamb, the unleavened bread, bitter herbs, and drink of that wine in remembrance of our Lord. Okay. But anyways, man, I'm going to close it off there. All right.